Yo, what's good, guys? So I'm gonna tell you how I found this product that made me 2.6 million in sales in the first year, and I'll do a little refresh just so you guys can see 2.6 million. And we started this in January, and as you can see, we're still running it to this day. So one product can go really, really far. So I'm gonna go show you guys how I found it, and if you think this is just gonna be some stereotypical video telling you to scroll on PP ads, you're wrong. Just trust me and listen, and you'll receive the value. Like, it's something you guys probably haven't heard of before, and it's literally what allowed me to do over a million profit in the first year with this brand. So it works, trust me. Also, for those wondering, this is the same product that was in my I made 1.8 million as a full-time student video. So it's the same exact product, and since then we've done almost another million in sales. So just thought I'd add that. Okay, so first let's actually talk about what really makes a winning product. And I'm not just gonna tell you like, oh, find a problem-solving product. Like, obviously we all know that, but I'm actually gonna tell you the 7 criteria that you probably don't know. And if you think you know everything and you think you're just fucking sick again, like, just stop. Like, just listen to me and it'll all make sense, okay? So let's just get into it. We're gonna talk about 7 different criteria that you guys need to look out for every time you see a product. And this is what we call the dropshipping eye. You need to be able to look at a product and instantly think, hey, does this meet most of the criteria that I'm about to say? Okay, so the first thing we're gonna talk about is problem solving, okay? And don't skip, okay? Don't try to skip, just listen. I know you guys all know this, I know I've talked about this, but let's just talk a little bit more about it, right? So dropshipping is always going to be a matter of impulse buying, right? They're not going to Amazon, they're not going to Google, they're literally just scrolling. And the only way to get them to buy is through impulse. And the only way to speak on that impulse is to resonate with their emotions or solve a big problem. And usually those two go hand in hand, right? Because people love convenience. Just like, look around you, right? Like, people love buying a shortcut. And that's what you're essentially going to do. And you can kind of see it here. I'll talk about it later after this section, but this is a really good product right here, right? Because it's a hair extension. It basically allows people with like thinning hair or hair they don't like to kind of have the full, beautiful hair that they always dreamed of. And again, I'll talk more about why this is such a good product, and I'll like wrap it up towards the end of this, but this kind of solves that big problem, that big insecurity, and in turn, that makes people feel a certain way. Whereas this fucking humidifier, like, these gimmicky products, they usually only sell during like Christmas and stuff, but even then this is like a shit gimmicky product because there's no deep emotion or anything behind it. So that's kind of how and why problem solving products are so important, and I'm sure you guys have heard this like 20 million times, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is it has to have some sort of viral or like uniqueness, right? It has to have some sort of unique or virality factor behind it. And the reason I say that is because if I'm just gonna sell like a fucking shovel, right? You can just go to Walmart, or you can just think, oh, I'm gonna get it off Amazon, right? You need to sell something that's kind of like, oh shit, like this is like a quick fix, like this is gonna instantly help me, like this is something that I really haven't seen before, right? And going back to the hair extensions, right? Like it's just a very, you can literally see what it does just by looking at it. It has some sort of like virality behind it, right? It's a very instant product, and you don't just immediately think, oh, I can just go to Target and go to some random shelf and pick it up, right? It seems like there's something, you really don't see someone just pulling hair out, you know what I mean? Like, they're literally pulling their hair out, and it's like a clip-on extension. Obviously everyone's heard of hair extensions, but it's just like, when you see it, there's something strange about it. They're like, oh shit, right? Like, if you're scrolling, you just saw someone pull their hair off and they're just fucking bald now, right? Like, you're gonna be like, what the fuck? Like, that kind of virality is important. And there's so many other examples about this. And again, after this little section, I'm gonna go through some products and show you how they fulfill this criteria. But that virality and uniqueness factor will build interest, and that will cause people to actually click on your product. So the next thing, which just kind of goes hand in hand with number 2, is it has to be visual. And usually if your product is viral or it's unique, it's usually visual, right? So visual means it kind of sells itself, right? If I showed you this product, right, and I didn't say anything, it was just a completely unedited, no voice, it was just a clip of the product in use, would you be able to tell how it worked, right? Probably, yeah. And that's what makes a good product half the time, because usually, especially when you're starting out, right, you won't really know how to explain a product and write good direct response copy, which means like just writing voiceovers and scripts that really resonate with the audience. You're not gonna know how to do that. That's why having products like this, these hair extensions where you can literally tell what it does without a single word being communicated, that's what's gonna be really easy for you to sell. You're really gonna have to, if you don't have that, right, you're really gonna have to explain like, this is what it does, this is why it's gonna help you. Like, imagine you couldn't tell what this was at all, right? Imagine this wasn't hair extension, this was like a completely different product, and you looked at it and you're like, what the fuck? Like, for example, like a supplement, right? Just a pill. If I showed you this pill right here, right? This doesn't even look like a fucking pill, but let's just say I showed you this pill right here and I told you, what does it do? You know, you're not gonna know. You're gonna have to wait for me to explain it and tell you how it's gonna help you. And of course, you can scale that, right? That's a product that people can sell, right? Supplements are huge. But as a beginner, you're not gonna be able to know how to really resonate with your audience and explain to them in the way they want to be explained to, right? But these hair extensions, you can literally tell what it does, and your audience will be like, oh, this is how I'd use it, and this is how it would change my life. And that's gonna be the best product to sell, especially when you're a beginner. So the fourth is having good margins overall, right? So a lot of people don't really understand how to price their product, right? So you don't just want to look at AliExpress or anything, because when you're scaling your product, you're going to have an independent agent. You're going to have someone who's not AliExpress or Zendrop or CJ fulfilling your orders. And they buy all their goods from 1688, right? This is where you can get the prices of the actual goods in yen, like the Chinese price, right? And what you want to do when you're kind of sourcing your product is look how much it costs on Amazon, look how much it costs on like CJ and stuff like that, and look how much it costs on this website. And you're going to have to be pretty good at estimating shipping costs and stuff like that. But what you're looking for is you're looking for a 4 to 5 times markup. And this markup is the 1688 price plus shipping, and then plus like any service fees, right, from your agent. And this is going to take a lot of experience, right? You're going to have to kind of get good at predicting shipping costs, get good at predicting kind of the service fee, and you'll be able to do this once you have an agent. But when you're starting, right, you're gonna kind of just want to guesstimate it, and just you can use Amazon and stuff to kind of give you a bigger picture, but you're gonna want to take this combined price and times it by 4 or 5. You don't want to take the AliExpress price, because even if you have to fulfill with AliExpress initially, when you're truly scaling a winning product, you're not going to use AliExpress. You're going to use an agent, right? And if you do this 4 to 5 times markup on AliExpress or like CJ dropshipping, your product is just going to be too expensive for people to buy. Like no one's going to want to do it. But CJ, AliExpress, they all get it from this website right here, right? And if you price it 4 to 5 times based on this right here, it's going to be a reasonable price, and it's going to actually make sense in terms of the market fit, and it's going to make sense for your margins, right? And other people talk about having like a 3 times markup and stuff, but I just don't like it. Like you can do it, right? But ideally what you're looking for is like a 4 to 5 times markup to really have good margins, because you want to consider the cost of running a business, right? You're going to have payment processing fees, you're going to have, you know, teams to pay off, you're going to have tax and stuff, right? And especially if you're doing 3x, like you'll make money, right? But if you really want to scale a brand and make very good margins, you want 4 to 5 times. And especially if you have a partner too, like if you're running a partner store, like don't even bother doing 3 times. You're gonna make a McChicken. It doesn't fucking matter. I would say ideally try 4 to 5 times. And in my main brand right now that I showed you guys at the start, my markup is literally like 8 times. Like my break even is very, very low. And that kind of comes with having a completely custom product, right? But having those margins is what allowed me to have such good profit margins that you guys saw at the beginning of the video, right? You normally don't see stuff like that, and that's literally just profit margins. So that's why it's super important. If you have more questions on how to price it based on this right here, you can just message me or just reach out in the comments. But yeah, margins, very, very important. So the next big thing, this is something I've struggled with myself a lot, and this is just seeing the demand, right? The demand of the product. So to put it short, you can't really invent the wheel, right? You can't really create demand for a product, especially as a beginner. You're not going to know how to do it unless the product is so insane, right? So you need to find a product that has a consumer base already, right? Whether that's like a proven niche. Sometimes you want a product that's already proven, right? Maybe proven niche isn't enough. And usually when you're a beginner, you want to target products that are already in demand. Meaning someone is selling them on Meta or, you know, whatever, TikTok, and people are buying it. You can't just look at like, you know, oh, is this selling on Amazon? That's not enough. I made this mistake so much. I would just test products. I would try to create the wheel myself, and it just wouldn't work. My CPMs would be so high, there would be no interest. Because if you look on Amazon and stuff, right, a product may sell there, but that's because they're going there to buy it. Buying intent is so much higher. But when you're looking on social media, like Meta and stuff, it's all impulse buying. So if a product is selling on Meta, that means that, you know, there's that impulse factor behind it. It works. And those are the products that you want to sell, because you literally know if you sell it to people and you make people impulse buy it, they'll buy it. But if you try selling an Amazon product, you don't know if they'll actually impulse buy it, because Amazon people are going there to buy. And again, all this is kind of catered towards beginners, right? You can really use Amazon and stuff once you're more advanced and you really have this drop shipping eye. But initially you want to see, okay, is there demand where people can impulse buy this? And this is so important. And I'll talk more about this. One of my product research methods actually capitalizes on this. So very, very important. So the sixth thing is just shipping costs, right? And this kind of also goes with number 4. And this is very important and people overlook this a lot. So you can't really ship a big bulky item, right? So when you ship from China, it's something called volumetric weight. So the actual weight of the product matters and the actual size and dimension matters. So it's just together. You can have a super small product, and if it weighs like 10 pounds, it's going to be way too expensive to ship, and vice versa, right? If you have a really big product but it's super light, it's still going to be expensive to ship. So you need to consider what is going to be heavy and what is going to be light. And you also want to consider the packaging size, of course. So when you look at this product, right, the hair extensions, it's super small and it can fit in like a very, very small package. And that's so good for this. The shipping costs are going to be like $5 to $6 for this, right? But if you consider, you know, maybe like a vacuum or some shit, right? Something actually big and heavy, it's just going to be too expensive. And you can make it work, right? Like you can ship it to a warehouse like a 3PL in the United States, but that's going to require a lot of capital and a lot of knowledge in making things work. So just rule that out for now. For now, you just want to focus on low weight and small size. That's the 2 things you really want to focus on when you're looking for a product, right? So the 7th thing is, it's not something you really don't have to look for, right? But it's just customization. This doesn't mean just slapping your logo on it or like putting it in a fancy box. This means actually working with the factory to customize the actual functionality of the product, right? Whether it's like, oh, changing the size and like adding more functions to it, like I don't even know, like maybe I'm selling like a heating pad and I maybe want to add like a cooling mode to it and I want to change the size of it. You know, that's the customization I'm talking about, like actually customizing the function of it. And the reason this is good is because 1, it allows you to build a moat over the product, right? You can get a supplier contract where they only sell to you. You can get a patent and stuff like that. And this also allows you to exit. And if you don't know what exiting is, this is literally what I'm doing right now with my main brand. I'm going to basically sell it off to someone much bigger than me. And this is how you make the real big money with dropshipping, right? And that's why customization is somewhat important. You don't really have to look for it right now. But for me, when I look at a product, I can instantly tell like, hey, this is how I'm going to customize it. And this is going to let you exit and sell off your business for a lot of money, like 7-8 figures easily. And that moat paired with having like a supplier contract where you're the only person selling it on the market, that's going to be so enticing for anyone willing to buy your business, because they don't want something that anyone can just sell, right? If you customize it, you'll have something unique, and that's what allows you to exit and sell off your business for so much money. And this is something that no one really does in dropshipping, and it's so important if you want to build generational wealth. So this is something you guys can also consider, but most products can be customized, but this is something you guys can consider when choosing a product and having the dropshipping eye. Alright, so for the product research method, we're going to be using ad library, and this is how I found this brand and some other stores I've ran. And if you think you know the ad library method or you've seen it before, just trust me, listen a bit longer and see if you really know it, because I use it a little bit differently. I don't use like the rabbit hole method or any of that bullshit. So we're just going to type ad library on Google, go to ad library, make sure it's in US, not like Canada or New Zealand or some shit. Click all ads. And for the keyword, basically you want to search up a keyword that is indicative of a good product, right? So what I like to do is I like to search up offers. So, you know, like buy one, get one free, for example. Someone who's running an ad with a buy one, get one free offer most likely knows what they're doing, because buy one, get one free is like literally one of the main and best offers in ecom. And if you look that up and someone's running that offer, it's most likely a half decent product, right? And obviously you don't want to just type like buy one get one free, because that's too specific of a term, right? Let's say they put like a comma or something, it won't really show up if you search up this. So you want to search up like fragments. So I would search up like buy one, and the trick hasn't really came yet. I'll show you guys once it loads. So what you want to do is you want to go to filters and you want to make media type video. And let me just write these dates out. This is like the main part right here. Let me just do this and I'll kind of explain what this means. So let me just do this real quick. Okay, so I made the from date right here, the date that was 4 weeks ago, and I made the to date, the date that was 2 weeks ago. So this is going to show me all the video ads that have been launched anywhere from 4 to 2 weeks ago. So if I click apply, everything I see here, like I said, is an ad that was launched anywhere in that time frame and is still running to this date, right? So this ad was launched what, 2 weeks ago, and it's still running on December 31st. So what does that mean? Try and think, right? It means that the product that this ad is for is most likely a winning product, right? Because when you're product testing for 1, 2, 3 days, or even the more experienced guys who test for like a week, right, they usually end up turning off the campaign and killing the product. But this product, like whatever this one is, for example, the December 17th one, this has been running for at least 2 weeks. So no one's gonna really run an ad for a shit product that's not making them money for 2 weeks. No one's really gonna do that unless they have a lot of money to play around with. So pretty much every single video ad for a product you see here is something that somebody is making money with. So you're probably wondering, okay, I'm seeing what other people are making money with. How am I gonna make money with that? So the goal with this is, because you see all these high quality validated products already, you want to find someone who's in the middle of scaling, right? Like not a huge big brand. You don't want to find a brand that has like, 10, 20,000 followers with like 200 ads, launching ads like every day, like spamming them. Like you can't really compete with that. You want to find someone who's relatively new to the market that you can actively compete with. So what that means is someone who maybe launched their brand, 1 month ago, and they are slowly scaling up. They're not launching like 20 ads a day. I'll go through this and I'll show you guys what I mean. But the goal when you're looking is to kind of go to their page, go to their ads, and just see what they're running to see if it's something you can compete with. So let's say I'm just scrolling, right? What I'm doing is I'm just looking at the thumbnail, looking at the primary text, the headline. I'm trying to see like if there's anything that can catch my eye, right? So I'm just gonna scroll, and okay, I see instant, right? This like catches my eye because like instant, like drop shipping probably solves a problem. So I'll just like quickly watch it, right? Like I don't really care because I'm not like trying to product research, but I'll watch it, and if I like it, I'll go to the page, right? I'll see 2 likes and I'll click view ads. And when I click view ads, I basically see all the ads this brand has ran. So 50 ads, it's not too much. So I'll scroll and see when they started running. So they started December 21st. So yeah, pretty recently, right? Like barely 2 weeks ago. So because this brand is like pretty new, what I would do now is I would actually genuinely consider like, hey, do I want to run this? What can I improve, right? Oh shit, I got a WhatsApp notification. I'm thinking like, hey, what can I improve? Can I improve the offer? Can I improve the lander, like the website? I'm gonna look at it and see if there's anything I can do better, because these guys are new, right? It's not like they solidified their market share yet. They're still actively trying to accumulate as much market share as possible. And here's where you kind of come in and disrupt that, right? Because again, you can't really dominate a market within 2 weeks of running a product, right? Like you have time. So overall, these guys are a very, very good example of a brand you want to kind of compete with, because they just started scaling up pretty heavily. As you can see, like the past couple days, they've launched a lot of ads, but when they launched, right, they weren't like spamming ads every day. They launched their first batch of ads on the 21st and they let it run, and then just now they started launching even more ads. So that tells you they're in the process of scaling, right? Because logically, if we think, they probably launched it around this time frame, and they probably let it run for like a couple days to see how it did, and it did really, really good. So they probably ended up making a shit ton of more ads, and they just launched it in the past couple days. So assuming this is a pretty good product, and assuming there's something we could possibly improve upon, this would be a really, really good example of a product that you would run. So if we actually wanted to take a look at the product, we can just look at it. It looks like some makeup product. Yeah, so okay, yeah, this is actually a pretty good product because it solves a big insecurity. It's visual, so just off first glance, this could be something that someone would run. Don't take it from me, I'm not actively gonna product research right now, but I'm just showing you guys an example of how you to analyze it. So let's go back to the ad library and I'll show you an example of a bad product that you wouldn't want to run. Okay, so as I'm scrolling, right, I'm gonna try finding a bad example. Instant again, okay, this could be decent. 4,000 likes, that's kind of the first red flag. It could be botted, we don't know, but it kind of tells me there's a chance it could have been around for a while. So I'll click view ads, and okay, yeah, 170 ads is kind of a lot. That kind of tells me that they're either scaling really, really quickly or they've been around for a while. So let's just scroll and see. Okay, so they've been around since November. I guess they relaunched in like December. I guess some of their ads got rejected, I don't know. But overall, right, looking at this, the time frame is okay, right? Even if they launched in November, it's not that far. But the red flag about this is they've launched 170 ads this month. This is a very good example of a bad product to run. Not a bad product, but a very competitive product to run, just because look at how many ads they're launching, right? On the 29th, they've launched, let's see, 2 rows. Yeah, 2 rows of ads, and then like look, every day they're launching so many, right? I guess it's not all in order, but they're just launching a lot of ads. Like the bulk of these 170 ads were literally launched this month. So ask yourself, could you compete with that volume? Do you have the systems? Do you have the team in place that can mass produce these creatives, right? You know, I'm not going to say you can't compete with this, but you really have to consider, right? If you're just starting and like you don't really have experience or you don't have like a team, it's going to be really hard with someone who's has this much of a creative output, right? Because someone who's uploading almost 170 ads in 1 month is not doing it all himself, right? He most likely has a video editor, a script writer, any of that stuff. But you know, if you have a big team and you have experience, like a lot of people would consider competing with this. But when you're new and you're just starting out, you know, if you see someone launching a shit ton of fucking ads every day and like their brand has been around for a while, right? Like I'm talking October, like a couple months, at least 2 to 3 months. If they've been around for a while and they're launching a bunch of ads, then that's kind of a red flag, because not only have they been around for a while, meaning their pixel is trained, their ads are optimized, they've had time to optimize everything, it also means that they're just launching creatives at a much faster output than you. So they're just gonna have that market share and they're gonna maintain that market share, you know? There's nothing for you to really come and take. So that's kind of like the gist of this method, right? You're really just trying to go and look for products that catch your eye, that kind of fill that criteria, and you wanna see how new they are. And your goal is to find someone who's, you know, not scaling too fast, but they're scaling and it's like a relatively new brand or product, right? And let's say you don't like buy one, right? You can, you know, do other terms like 50% off, free shipping, stuff like that. You guys can play around with it. Use your own intuition to kind of come up with keywords. But the biggest factor is using this kind of date to like show you validated products that are already making someone money, right? Because let's say you didn't put this date, you're just gonna see all ads that are super recent and you won't really know, like, hey, have they been running long enough to have made money? You're gonna be forced to rely on your intuition and kind of gamble, right? But with this, you're literally being shown ads that have been running for a while and are making people money. So that's why it's so good. So to kind of summarize the ad library method, right, we're going to search by offer, so like buy one, just use fragments, 50% off, free shipping, stuff like that. We're going to look for new brands that haven't really established themselves, because your goal is to compete with them, right? And the degree to which these brands are new just really depends on your skill level, right? Because again, if they've been around for a while but not too long, then you can compete with them if you really know what you're doing. But if you don't know what you're doing, you can't really compete with them, right? So you're looking for like low active ads. Again, this really just depends on how experienced you are, but the lower the better. But you also want to make sure they're scaling. You don't want to just make sure they've launched like 3 ads and they just ran away from the product. You want to make sure that they're slowly starting to launch more, but not too fast. And again, you want to make sure it meets all the criteria that I talked about in the beginning. So to kind of wrap this video up, I'm just gonna go and show you examples of good and bad products for beginners specifically. So this is like the Filter Baby. This is just a very, very big brand that sells filtered shower heads or filtered faucet heads. And this is actually a really good product, but this is all in the context of beginners, right? So this product, it basically filters out your normal tap water and makes it so that, you know, takes out all the bad chemicals and shit or whatever. And it's targeted for people with like acne and stuff like that, right? And the reason this is bad for beginners, keep in mind beginners, right? This is a very, very good product to scale up, right? Because you can add subscriptions and stuff. But regardless, the reason this is bad for beginners is because it doesn't really sell itself, right? If I told you like, hey, the water you're showering with or the water you're washing your face with or whatever is bad and it's causing your acne, you're not going to instantly believe me, right? You're going to be like, wait, really? Like honestly, just ask yourself, how many of you are using like a filtered shower head or something like that? Probably not many of you, right? And that's because you don't really realize there's a problem with it. It's not really selling itself, right? Because yeah, these guys have the problem of acne, right? But the problem with that is, you know, they're not going to really suspect their water, right? You know, some of you might think, oh, but this, you can capitalize off their insecurity and sell this to them, right? But if you're a beginner, you won't really know how to make them aware that, hey, your tap water or your shower water is bad for you. Because again, someone who's going to buy this product didn't really understand or didn't really realize that their shower water is bad for them. So the Filter Baby, in their ads, they explain how like the water is causing acne. And because of that, right, you're going to have really good copy. You're going to have to really, your ads are going to really have to resonate and explain the problem so well, right? Because the people purchasing this product aren't really that problem aware. They don't really understand that the water they're showering with is bad for them and is causing them acne. So when you're a beginner, again, I really need to like drive this home, because this is just my 2 cents. I could be wrong, right? Like maybe someone out there can make it work. But in my opinion, what I've seen with everyone and what I've seen with myself is products that don't require too much explaining are the easiest to scale for beginners. Because again, right, if you're a beginner, you're gonna have to somehow explain to people that their tap water is bad for them, and on top of that, you're gonna have to explain to them how this will fix it for them, and on top of that, you're gonna have to convince them to buy a product and spend money on a random ass website for a problem they didn't even realize they had 10 minutes ago, right? So I hope you guys kind of see why it's kind of hard to make that work when you're a beginner. Of course, anyone who's experienced definitely can make this work, right? Because people who are experienced will know how to write proper scripts, will know how to convey the problem, right? But when you're a beginner, it's just a lot harder. This is really saturated, by the way. I showed this in the beginning, but these are the hair extensions. They're a pretty good product because, again, someone who has a problem like thinning hair, this is literally, it explains to them why they need it just by looking at it. Like, you don't really have to do too much explaining, right? Of course, you're gonna have to explain like, oh, it won't slip off, like it looks natural, stuff like that, but it's nothing like this where it's like, hey, you're literally doing everything wrong, your water is wrong for you. But this is literally just like, hey, I know you have a problem, let me just give you the easiest solution of your life. So this is something you don't have to explain too much, right? It sells itself. Someone who has this problem is gonna look at this and understand how it works, whereas this, they don't really understand how it works, right? Someone who doesn't know this brand. But with this, someone who has thinning hair is gonna look at this and be like, wow, I can imagine myself using this without having to explain it super complicated. So this is just an example of like kind of what I think works for beginners, because I've seen this with my friends, I've seen this with myself, right? It's just easier when you have a product that sells itself. It's always going to be a spectrum. There's never going to be like the perfect product that is just so perfect and requires no explaining. That's pretty rare. You're always going to have to find something that has some sort of explanation, but the more visual and the more self-explanatory it is, the easier it's going to be for you to scale your first brand as a beginner. So that's kind of it, honestly. Like this, again, this is just my 2 cents, but this is what honestly has allowed me to scale so fast in such a short period of time. And I hope, honestly, I had some value for you guys, because I think a lot of people don't really talk about this too much, and I hope this changes your product research philosophy, because product research is the hardest part about dropshipping, and once you can get over that hurdle, it's just money on autopilot from there. So I will catch you guys later. Peace.